I have an interview at Gentle Monster.
언제나 함께 있어 그래 잠을만큼 참았어 억울해 Baby I can feel it with you Maybe you feel the same with me too 매일이 난 네 생각하다 참
I am still working on the TEDx education project. It's kind of far. If anyone is looking for a job, if you want to know like the actual interview questions, that's kind of weird. I will update you as it happens. Good afternoon. Why is this hair going like this? I don't know. Today's a exciting day. I actually have a job interview and I think it's my first one in Korea, like in person. Why did I come here? I want to make coffee. So I think this is my first in-person job interview in Korea. I haven't had one. I've only had like online ones. This is my first in-person one, and I have an interview at Gentle Monster for a international marketing position. So I kind of got ready already, like half. I did my makeup to an extent. I got my nails done. I did my hair, and I haven't picked what I want to wear yet, but I'll do that closer to the time because the interview is at 4:30. So I still have a good like 4 or 5 hours until the interview. It's kind of far. Their office is kind of far. It's in like the northwest left side of Seoul. So I have to cross the river. I'm actually just gonna make some coffee first and then I'm gonna do some preparation for the interview. Okay, so I got my coffee, my laptop open. Ow, hot. Oh, it's not making a sound. Such a funny story with this interview. So I really didn't have any plans to interview for a Korean company anytime soon. But my friend who works in retail for Gentle Monster, he actually recommended me to apply for this position because, you know, it's international marketing and it's a fashion brand and felt like maybe I could fit in here. So I applied through Job Korea website. It was a pretty long application process. I had to translate all of my CV into to Korean, and then they had some pre-interview questions that they asked. I can't even remember them anymore because it was 5-6 weeks ago. I think it was something like, why did you apply for this position, which was one, and then the second one was, what's the most interesting trend or issue in the industry? Explain why you think it's interesting. I think that's what it was. Why do I have a towel up here? So yeah, I applied for this job 5-6 weeks ago, and actually I got a pretty quick callback to come for an interview. But when they asked me for an interview, I was in Australia working on a project. They wanted an interview in 2 days, like an in-person interview. I called them up and said, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I am overseas on a project. I'll be back in Korea in 2 weeks. Is there any way to do a pre-Zoom interview, or is it possible to reschedule for 2 weeks later? And then they basically were like, no, we don't do any Zoom interviews. We only do in person. And so we can't, we're gonna have to hold your application for now. We're not gonna take the application. And then, so I was kind of freaking out because I wanted to interview for the role. And so I called them and said, look, you want an interview on Friday. If you can just push the interview for next week, then I'll fly over during the weekend. And they were basically like, we really appreciate how much you want to interview for the job, but the interview is only scheduled for these particular days. We can't move it to another date. And so they just pushed my application aside, and I kind of already forgot about it. Like I forgot about it for weeks. It's been weeks since I even got that interview call back. So I've just been working on the TEDx project, living my life, not really thinking about it. I got completely over it. I was a little bit upset at first. And then I got a call last week on Wednesday, because initially they said, oh, if there's any changes to the application process, we will let you know. And so I was just like, okay. And I got a call on Wednesday saying, we remember that you were flying into Korea at these dates. Are you here? And if you are you available for an interview next week, like next Monday, which is today? I don't know how I feel about it. I was kind of already over it, wasn't really preparing for the interview at all, and I wasn't still thinking about it. I didn't really think that it was gonna come back around. I'm going today. So wish me luck. I am going to go and look at what I actually said in the pre-interview questions, because I feel like they could ask off of the stuff that I said. Also, just have a look at Gentle Monster in general, what they've been doing, what they're like how they're expanding, what are their plans. I'm gonna have a read up of articles and things that they've published that could help me understand a little bit more about the company, because although I know the company on the surface level, I like them a lot, and I shop from them, and I've been following them for a while. I think it'll be good to just have some more like professional knowledge of what articles have been saying about their growth and their expansion internationally, because this is an international marketing role. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. I still haven't really decided what I'm gonna wear, because it says free, like you can wear whatever you want, which is good. But normally in Korean companies, like it's very like suit, like very professional. I have a little bit more freedom, but also then I have a bit more to think about what I'm gonna wear. So I'm gonna do some work. I will check in when I leave for the interview. If anyone is looking for a job or any like application process, what the Korean application process is like, if you guys are interested, let me know. Honestly, I'm new to it as well. I've never applied through Job Korea before, and translating my entire CV was an effort and a half. There's a particular way that Korean companies do it that's a little bit different, I think, to Western companies, so it might be useful. Good morning. Today is the day after my Gentle Monster interview. I got home pretty late last night and I was so tired. I just had some food and I went to sleep. I am still working on the TEDx education project, which will be finished by this Saturday. So I've only got like 5 days left, but I sent over all the material that needs to be printed yesterday. So I had to do the like A2 flyers, also B5 flyers for the program, the standing like X banner, this huge billboard, all the things that need to be printed out. I had to give it to them in advance. So I sent it all in yesterday, so they have at least 5 days to print and sort out. And then I got some feedback from the printing shop. So in Korea, apparently they don't take TIFF files, they only take PDF. A lot of printing shops usually take TIFF files, but I have to match to the printing shop anyway. and I got kind of freaked out, and some of the measurements, like some of the page sizes weren't exactly what they wanted. And so I was kind of freaking out because I was on my way to the interview and I couldn't be back until late that night. And I wanted to give them as much time as possible because in Australia, when you want to print stuff for an event, any sort of thing, especially if it's like banners or it's not just like paper sheets, they take so long. Like actually 5 days is a pretty tight deadline. You would never give them like 5 days, but then the company like TED said a week, like 5 days was fine. So I was kind of freaking out. We talked to the printing shop and they were like, oh, we can do this in 1 day, like 1 day turnover, so don't worry about it. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Korea is so quick. 1 day turnover for X banners. I mean, maybe that's normal for other countries, but for Australia, it's definitely not the case. They're so slow. 5 days. You need at least, like, you need to put in your printing orders at least, I would say, 2 weeks before the event, just in case they delay, which they will. I will be finishing up everything formatting wise for the printed materials today. I have to get started on the digital designs, which is for the screens when people speak, intermission, before it starts. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. The interview itself yesterday, I think it went pretty well overall. It was for an hour and a half, and there was another person that was also being interviewed with me, so it wasn't just by myself, it was me and one other guy. I had an interview with the head of, I don't know if he was the head of the whole international marketing team, but he said that he manages the both like the Australia and Southeast Asia international marketing team, and also the States, Europe. There's 2 teams, and there's also one that does China, Hong Kong, Japan. So there's like 3 teams. And then I also had an interview with the head of OCE, like Australia and Southeast Asia. So there's 2 people interviewing us and then 2 people being interviewed. If you want to know like the actual interview questions and things like that, maybe I can make a video on that as well. But the interview process isn't over, so they do like the first interview and also the second interview. The first interview, it seems like it's a real get to know each other kind of thing. They asked me a lot of questions about, actually I'll just say it now. They asked me questions about like how much I know the brand. So what marketing strategy or things that Gentle Monster has done that was memorable? When was the first time you got to know Gentle Monster? Any retail experience that you've had with Gentle Monster? Anything that, if anything, was memorable? They also asked like, what do you think after applying for the job and reading about the job? What do you think that we do here? What do you think that you can contribute to the team? And then he actually explained a little bit more about what the team actually does, and then kind of gave the question back again, what, now that you've heard about what the team does, what do you think you can really contribute to the team? They also asked some like really generic questions like, why'd you apply for this job? Tell me about yourself. What is your favorite brand? Why do you like that brand? And then they asked like some personal questions about your work experience. So the questions for me and the other guy were a bit different. All the other questions were pretty much the same. I don't know if like Western companies do this, but this is like a very, very particular thing that Korean companies do, which is they call it like, I don't know what it's called in English, if I translate it in English, but in Korean, it's called 압박 질문. Basically a question where they intentionally try to catch you off guard, like offend you and say something that's a little bit aggressive, so they see how you respond. So they're not actually trying to be rude, but they give you this kind of question so they can see how you answer this question under a little bit of stress and how to kind of maneuver a bit of an awkward situation. So they do this on purpose. Most Korean interviewers experience this kind of question. Mine was, you've done some internship programs, you've also tried to open up your own business, now you're freelancing. Realistically, companies don't like these kinds of people. Why do you want to suddenly work for a company? Like, don't you think that this isn't really suited to your working style? Like, it was kind of like that. Honestly, the way that they want you to answer it is just like lighthearted. And then at the end, they also said, oh, well, I will give you some time to ask 3 questions about our company and what you want to know. And I won't go too deep into the answers that they gave because it's probably like, it's company information and stuff. Some of the things I was like, that's kind of weird. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting work culture. Now I'm just waiting for them to contact me back. If I made it through the first interview, there'll be a second interview where all the team comes and you do a presentation in English. And they give you like a topic apparently when you get told that you're gonna do the second interview, so you can prepare. And then after that, like the team reviews, and then if you get in, you get in and you start negotiating salary, the contract and stuff like that. So yeah, it was an interesting interview process. I will update you as it happens. If I get into the second interview, I'll probably update you on like how that goes as well. But now I just need to focus on the TEDx project, and